everyone, and welcome to our show. We're so excited to have you joining us today. Well, I would like to give a very warm welcome to our host for today's show, Jo. So I'll hand it over to her.
I'm Jo. I'm a design educator at Canva's Design School. This series is all about sharing the stories that make up Canva. And we're so lucky to have so many wonderful people working at Canva who come from all walks of life. Today, we're joined by Andrew, who's a design industry legend. We're very lucky to chat to him, and he's going to share a little bit about his story. So let's find out a little bit more about Andrew.
Hello, my name's Andrew. I'm the Creative Industries lead here at Canva. I've been at Canva for about a year and a half, and I sit in the Strategic Partnerships team in the Marketing Engagement Group. My favourite place to travel would actually be split between two places. One, which is Iceland. I've been there a few times, and it's an absolutely beautiful and amazing place. And the other would be the South Island of New Zealand, which I've also been to quite a few times. Absolutely love that place, stunning landscape and lovely people. My main hobby really would probably be photography. I love getting out into the landscape, taking landscape photos, also taking photos of my kids. And I live in Tasmania, so I have some really lovely, beautiful landscapes really close that I can just head out into and take some photos. So I love doing that when I can. I'm also a big fan of reading, love reading books and also drawing. So they're kind of my main hobbies. My favourite feature of Canva would probably just be the way that the editor brings together all your documents and all of your images, all your icons, illustrations, logos, all of that kind of thing. As a graphic designer, I know the pain of having to search through your hard drives and into your cloud to try to find things. With Canva, once you put it in there, it's all just there, right, easy in front of you. You can just drag it straight from the editor onto your page, whatever you're designing. It's a super huge time saver, and I've really loved that since I've started working with Canva.
Thank you so much for putting that together, and welcome Andrew to our chat today.
Hello, thanks Jo, and thanks Leah. Hello everyone, nice to meet you all.
We're so lucky to have you here for a chat. So let's start with a pretty simple question. How did you get started in design, or what led you into the creative industries?
Well, I sort of fell into it by accident, really. I actually wanted to be an artist, or I sort of felt like I did when I was a younger man. But I didn't really paint. I just kind of drew pictures and really enjoyed doing that. But when I went to university, I did a bit of an interview to get into the creative arts department. The advisor suggested graphic design. At the time, I had no idea what that was. I didn't know it was even a thing. But I did some classes, really loved it. And 30 or so years later, I'm still here. So I'm really, really happy for that guy's advice.
Yeah, amazing. And what is it about design? Like what is it that's powerful about design, do you think?
Yeah, I think the power of design really is that it's sort of, whether you know it exists as a craft or an industry, you may not know anything about it, but it surrounds you. And it's part of your everyday life, whether it's, the book you read, the magazine, the apps you look at, the computer you're staring at right now, your T-shirt, anything, your car. These are all designed. They're by a variety of different types of designers, but they're all designed in a lot of ways. So it's really just a sort of part of your life that really, has a positive effect on your life, and whether you sort of know or think about it.
Yeah. So from, I guess, being really interested in creativity as a kid and getting some guidance to move into design as a career, and now you've found yourself at Canva, and I'm just wondering, how did you get into a job at Canva, and what led you to the organisation?
Yeah, well, I worked on a freelance job a couple of years ago with a person who I knew within the industry, and then she went to work at Canva. I kind of kept in touch with her, and she got in touch about 6 months later. And when they had a job here at Canva that they thought I would be good for, I started on a contract, and then basically after a couple of months was offered full-time as a creative lead in the templates team, and really was loving Canva, and so decided to jump on board, and been loving it ever since.
Yeah, awesome. You're doing something a bit different now to working in the templates team. Can you tell us a bit about your role and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm currently Creative Industries lead in the Strategic Partnerships team. So we partner with different brands around the world to sort of help sort of promote Canva, and brands from Netflix, Sydney Mardi Gras, World Pride, Walkley Awards, a big award here in Australia, Melbourne Victory soccer team, another team here in Australia. For those of you who may be in the US, the Philadelphia Eagles and Webby Awards, a bunch of different other partners. So my role specifically is to work more sort of within the creative industries, whether that's graphic design, photography, illustration, talk to people within those industries about Canva.
Right, so like a bit of a link between Canva and talking to the creative industries, because at Canva, we talk a lot about empowering the world to design. And by that, we mean that we're trying to give everyone and anyone access to tools that enable them to create design work. But is Canva a good tool for professional designers?
Yeah, well, look, I believe so. I mean, I've been a professional designer for well over 20 years, and I use Canva constantly now and without any problems. I think what I will often say to professional designers is, like, we're not trying to get rid of your current tools, the tools that and you've been using for years, and you've taught yourself them. We're just sort of saying that Canva has sort of ways that they can work within your workflow. So we complement these tools that have been in the industry for many years. And one area in particular is around allowing clients to utilize the work that you create. That's where Canva can really come in.
Yeah. I think we've got quite a few designers or young designers joining us in this chat today. And I guess it might be good to talk in a little bit more detail about what Canva is good for if you're a professional designer or an aspiring designer. Do you have like a few sort of top things that Canva can do for a designer in their workflow or in their day-to-day life?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first one would be what I sort of mentioned, is that you can actually use Canva to let your clients utilize the brand or the designs that you've created. And most of the time as professional designers, we don't really like doing that because the software can be difficult. Your client is not necessarily educated or a designer, obviously. But Canva allows you to do that. So you can set parameters around that. You can lock certain things off. You can allow only certain colors, like on-brand colors, typography, the logo, things like that. So that collaboration with your client, which I think is a really great thing in enabling them to be part of the process, is I think really a great benefit. The second one would be the collaboration tool within Canva, where you can have just multiple people, like dozens and dozens of people working on the same document at the same time. Now, you may not need dozens, but even in a design sense, you might have 2 or 3 people. Like, say, for example, you've got a copywriter working on a document with you. They can be literally copywriting and changing the copy at the same time as you're changing the layout. Or you can have a client coming in at the same time you're sitting on. They can be in another country or another city, and you can be commenting with them, and they can be making adjustments to your design. So that saves a lot of time between not having to send things back and forth, getting approval, marking up PDFs, all that kind of stuff. And I guess the third one would be, like I mentioned in my little video intro there, the way that it brings together all your content. So rather than having your content on multiple sort of cloud services on your hard drive, having clients having to send things over to you, all of that kind of stuff, you can just put it all up into Canva in your Canva team, and basically you can have access to everything. So everything will be right there within the editor. You can grab an image, you can grab a template, you can grab a logo, you can grab anything and just put it onto your design, and that really saves a lot of time.
Yeah, right. So we're not talking about replacing the professional design software, but in terms of managing assets or collaborating, that's where Canva can come in to that sort of day-to-day workflow, I guess. Okay, well, a slightly different question, and this taps a little bit into your background and some of the things you've done in your career, but I wanted to talk a bit about community for professional designers and why that's important, and any thoughts you have about community and networks for designers.
Yeah, well, look, I think, design's like most parts of life, you really want to be part of a community. Being connected with people who have the same passion for a career or something you really love to do is obviously super important. And I think designers in particular are really heavily influenced and inspired by other designers, whether that's someone just online or your colleague or a friend who you might have studied with. You want to sort of really integrate yourself into that world. And I've created a bunch of different projects over the years, in particular the semi-permanent conferences, which I was one of the founders of, to bring people together, to connect people, either in real life or virtually. Obviously, the last couple of years, virtual has been all we can really do, but it's really important to connect with others, and it really enriches both yourself as a professional, but also your career. Networking with others is obviously very important.
Yeah, well, as an attendee many years ago to some of your semi-permanent conferences, I can vouch how important it was to sort of go along to those with designer colleagues or friends and really just have that opportunity to talk about design and to grow and to learn as a designer. And I guess that's another thing I wanted to ask you about is, are there some key career learnings or growth that you've sort of had along the way that might be useful for our viewers today?
Yeah. Look, one of the main things that I've learned over the years and have sort of made a real sort of main part of my career is inspiration. So as a creative professional, no matter what it is you do, whether you're a digital designer, graphic designer, photographer, illustrator, artist, etc., inspiration, I think, is really fundamental to just being a passionate professional who wants to advance, who wants to create new things and do things differently. So what I would suggest is making it really a part of your everyday. Whether it's on, social media, whether it's sort of websites you might visit, whether it's sending links to your colleagues, make it a part of your everyday, really like set a time aside to kind of be inspired, because it really will help you in your career and help you as a creative. It'll make you a better creative, in my opinion.
Yeah, amazing. So we've talked about the importance of community, and we're talking about staying inspired and seeking that out on a day-to-day sort of basis. Are there some more kind of tips you would give aspiring designers, like a few key ideas that they can kind of tap into for their career in graphic design?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think the one thing I would say is, creativity isn't just about being a software expert. It doesn't matter whether you're a complete expert at your software that you happen to use. Creativity comes from within. It comes from ideas and concepts. So if you want to be a really great creative, spend some time working on that. Spend some time working on how to make sort of conceptualizing and coming up with ideas part of your creative process. Don't just automatically go to, I'm going to go into some software. Like, pick up a pencil, pick up a pen, go for a walk, take some photos, whatever you need to do, but make it about ideas, because, it's pointless knowing a program if you don't have an idea to put into it, right? So that would, I think, be one of the biggest things for me. Another would be, and I've sort of mentioned this a little bit already, but really make the industry your passion. I love designers and people that I've spoken to over the many years I've been doing this, who are really passionate about it, who do design and creative stuff in their own lives, not just as a job. I think that having that passion, people will see that. Employees, potential employers will see that you have passion for it, and that's something that they will really enjoy. And the other one, once again, sort of mentioned this, but become a really active member of your industry. So, if there's events happening, if there's exhibitions, if there's, things like this, like talks and online classes and design schools and stuff like that, be an active member, jump onto these things, join in, comment, chat, give feedback, really be an active member of the community. So I guess that would be sort of three tips I would give.
Yeah, I guess it's not just a day job, is it? And a creative career can be so much more than just sort of one thing, 9 to 5. You can really flesh it out and make it a lifestyle as well and stay inspired. So I guess everyone's wondering, what's it like to work at Canva? And can you tell us a little bit about the culture at Canva?
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, it is a great place to work. I know I'm biased because I work here, but obviously it is a really great place to work. Very progressive, very inclusive, really positive and vibrant culture. Like we literally have a whole team of, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, I'm not really sure, people whose job it is to actually make the culture. They're called the Vibies.
Vibe team. Love our Vibies.
Yeah, we all love them because their job, they just do an amazing job at making all these awesome events, making some of our big events that's awesome. They, the free lunches and the beautiful spaces we have in particular here in Sydney and also in Austin and a few other places around the world. So it is a really great culture. There's a real sense that the leadership and the bigger teams want to really do the right thing by their staff. So it's a great place to work.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I've been at Canva for 6 months now, and my experience has been really similar. And it's a bit like what we were talking about, that it doesn't have to just be a job. It can be so much more than that. And the culture at Canva really helps, and in all of that sort of regard. So I guess if we're making it sound so appealing to work at Canva, is there some advice you might give somebody if they'd like to think about applying for a role at Canva, whether that's soon or in the future at some point? What would be sort of your advice about applying for Canva jobs?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And I'm sure, a lot of people do want to work at Canva. It's a very great place to work. So my main advice would be, if you are applying for a job, whether it's, just through something you see on the Canva careers site, or possibly a friend you might have at Canva and you want to put, a job in, like, think about personality first. Like, we really hire based on who you are, not just what you've done or what your experience is, or, like I mentioned before, what software you can use, that kind of thing. There's a real emphasis on the person's personality and their values. So when you put together your application, try to make that really stand out. Don't think it has to just be very succinct and, I've got to tell them I can use this program and I've got to tell them I've done this before. Really let your personality shine out in that application. And I think that will give you that little boost that, might get you into Canva.
Before I go over to our Q&A session, I've got one more planned question. Are you ready for it? It's a big one.
Sure.
What do you think is the future of graphic design? What do you think the industry is going to look like?
Well, look, I'm probably a little bit biased because of, where we work, but I think it is going to be about accessibility of software. So, the sort of graphic design in particular world has been really kind of owned by professionals, and that's fine, right? I'm a professional. I've been a professional for 20 plus years. It's fine. You've had the experience, you've put the time in, you've got the skills. But I think that what has happened is that because of that, people who aren't professionals, who haven't been educated or don't work within the industry, have felt that, like, they can't kind of do it. Oh, I can't touch graphic design because that's for the people who are, professionals, right? Which I think is not really the way the future is going to go. I think it's going to be really broadening it out. And, I know a lot of professional designers don't really like that, but I often think about it like this. It's like, what if only professional photographers could take photos? Like, what if you, just because you weren't a professional photographer, couldn't pull your phone out and take a photo? Like, that would be a really, really strange world, right? And it would make for a very, very small amount of people on Instagram, that's for sure. That would just be very strange. So that's sort of how I always think about it, is that design is something that really in my life has brought me a massive amount of joy, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really fun thing to do. So I really love that it's, as we say at Canva, we're looking to empower the world to design, because I really believe that, design should be something that everyone can do.
Yeah, and I think people get told when they're young, either they're creative or they're not creative, or they can draw or they can't draw, and perhaps that message sort of carries them, and maybe they decide not to pursue creative careers. But I think what you're saying is that maybe that line of thought isn't really valid anymore. Everybody can tap into tools that help them design and create, whether that's for their work or their small business or their hobby. It's not such a black and white thing. Cool. Thank you so much. Those are the questions I had planned for us. So I'll throw over to Leah. She's been keeping an eye on the chat, and we'll see if there's any audience Q&A.
Yes, well, first of all, I would just like to say a huge thank you to you both for sharing your expertise today. It was such a wonderful insight into the design industry. So thank you both very much. But in the meantime, Jo, do you have any other questions you want to ask Andrew?
Always. Well, I've been thinking a little bit about the last couple of years. They've been a bit unpredictable for lots of people, whether that's in work or life. And I'm just wondering how you've managed, Andrew, to, I guess, stay inspired, whether that's, no longer working in an office with people or whatever that might look like. Sort of, how do you maintain a rhythm in your creative work and stay inspired and keep interested in design?
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah, it's the whole world's sort of changed a lot, hasn't it, in the last couple of years? And we are, a lot of people are working remotely now, and therefore don't have that sort of one-on-one or one on however many with their colleagues that they might have previously been with. So it can be difficult to sort of really feel a part of what's going on. But for myself, I feel like I've sort of handled it fairly well. I mean, sort of experienced enough not to let these things worry me too much. But what I've essentially done is kind of what I mentioned before about inspiration and, keeping on board and keeping in touch with what's going on around within your career, I think has become even more important, so making a real point of checking those blogs, looking at the social media people that you might follow. That's really important now, because you're not getting necessarily those conversations, those sparks of conversation that you might have gotten previously if you happen to work in a studio or work with other people. So I think it's become, more and more important to kind of really be active and surround yourself in whatever way you can, whatever environment you happen to be working in. Surround yourself with creativity and inspiration so that you can stay inspired, I think.
I guess there's so many platforms now for us to be able to do that too. It's not all dependent on in-person events like we're seeing today, or working in an office. We've got, digital platforms, social media, where we can connect with others, and it might just be a matter of keeping the energy and making sure that you kind of water that garden, I guess, is a way to put it. Leah, have we got any other questions, or should I?
Yes, actually, this will pop up. For beginners that are new to the design industry, is there a best practice routine that people should follow?
Best practice routine. Once again, I guess from a best practice, I guess it's about just, using that word, right? Practicing what you do, making sure that, you make time to design, especially if you're new to it and you may be doing something else and you're looking to make it part of your life. Like, really integrate yourself into the community. Surround yourself. This is what I always have said over the last 20 odd years. I've spoken to many students over those years. It's like, surround yourself with creativity and with design. I know I've said that a few times already today, but that's something that's really important and will elevate what you're doing and will make you learn a lot quicker.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, yeah, that was great advice. That's all the questions we've got. Yeah, if you have any more, Jo, you can keep firing away.
Like I said, I've always got questions up my sleeve. So what's something that you might tell your younger self about work and career, Andrew? Is there a droplet of wisdom that, you'd go back and tell yourself as a, 18 or a 21 or an early career designer?
Yeah, well, I guess one thing I'd say is, save your money. Because, if once you get to my age and you want to buy a house and all that, it costs a lot of money. So save your money. But, yeah, look, I'm not really sure. I mean, I feel like I've sort of, just from a completely personal perspective, I've kind of always followed my passions and sort of my, I guess, for want of a better way to put it, I've always followed my heart in terms of where I want to go and the decisions I've made. I've never really let, money or career progression or other people's opinions kind of really sway where I want to go with my career. I've sort of jumped off the cliff, so to speak, a few times and just gone for it with certain things. And thankfully, they've generally worked out. But yeah, so I don't know really what I would say, apart from the save your money, stop traveling around the world all the time and spending lots of money and save a bit. Apart from that, I don't know what I'd really say. I think I've sort of just gone with my gut, and I think that's sort of really the best way to go, I guess. So yeah, I don't know if that's a particularly great answer for that question, but that's what I say.
Go with your gut and save your money. That sounds pretty reasonable to me. Leah, have we got any more audience questions?
Cynthia was just wondering if there's an application where you can draw within Canva.
As far as I'm aware, there isn't yet. I do believe there is one that is possibly being developed.
I think there might be something, it's either launched or it's launching soon. It's Draw in Canva. Lee, you're smiling. Maybe you know more about it than us. Sometimes these things happen without us realising.
Yeah, I have seen what you're talking about, Jo, and I'm not sure if it's available to everyone yet, but last I saw it was in beta. And so if you head to the More tab in your Canva editor, so down the bottom left, there's the 3 dots with the More tab. You can explore all our apps, and hopefully there will be one called Draw on there.
It's not there now, it'll be there soon. Yeah. No, we're not giving away any big secrets.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we should be fine. Cool. Well, I think that wraps up our show for today. I just have a couple resources to share with people before we go. So if you would like the chance to attend our future Meet the Makers Live and ask our Canva staff questions, You can sign up to any of our live events via this Design School events page. Well, thank you very much for attending our Meet the Makers today. I hope you learned something, and make sure to stay tuned for future episodes with our extremely talented team here at Canva. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.